Issue 1. Special thanks to Bill Woods for inviting me down to Columbus. I'm so excited to share with you why I think that voters have a great opportunity to put some of the partisan gerrymandering behind us and actually create a great reform for our democracy. I saw a few of you. I know I've seen and recognized a few faces. Are there people here who have signed a petition or circulated petitions? People who have been active in the Fair Districts campaign? Awesome, thank you. I'm going to spend some time highlighting what I feel are the true heroes of this initiative, and that's the volunteers, because the volunteers are really is what's got us in this position where we're actually ready to put something on the ballot that's going to create real reform in May. So I know many of you volunteers may be old hat to some of these issues, but I just want to walk everybody through sort of what are the problems with gerrymandering and how we got to this place. Talk about all the great volunteer work that has gone on behind the scenes that you may not have been aware of. Talk about what are the benefits of issue 1. Certainly there are a lot of those. Talk about how you can plug in and help between now and May 8th. And then, of course, leave plenty of time for questions and answers. Sound good? So, why do we even draw congressional districts lines? Like, why is that even a thing, right? So the U.S. Census happens every 10 years, and that's to reflect the population changes that are happening all around the state and the country. We also have a U.S. Supreme Court decision, Baker versus Carr, which says one person means one vote. So when we have populations that are moving around, that means we need to redraw the congressional districts to reflect so that each congressional district has roughly the same number of people in it. Preview to the next census in 2021, we're expected to lose 1 congressional seat from 16 districts to 15 districts. And that's just because the population growth in Ohio hasn't kept up with the pace in other states. So we're going to lose 1 seat. And that means we're going to have to redraw the boundaries so that the lines match up and the population is the same in each congressional district. And some of you may have heard the term gerrymandering, but may not be entirely sure what that means. It's a funny kind of sounding name. It's got its start back in 1812 from Elbridge Gerry, who was a signer of the Declaration of Independence. He created a district in Massachusetts that was shaped like a salamander. And so they joined the name Gerry and Mander to create. It's basically the manipulation of political districts to favor one party or another. And Democrats have done it, Republicans have done it. Whoever's in power, basically, whoever has the pen, likes to draw the seats to benefit their political party. The problem is that this type of map making means that we're going to have fewer competitive elections, and our elected officials are going to be less accountable to the people if they're in safer seats. And many of you have felt that, right? If there are issues that you care about, you've been trying to reach out to your congressperson to express your opinion, and that your congressperson is not listening. And that's because they don't have to listen. They really are running for their primary seat. Once they win their primary seat, they don't have to listen to the more moderate aspects of the party. Some people might wonder, well, how bad is this gerrymandering problem in Ohio? Well, it's pretty bad. There have been several Supreme Court high-profile cases featuring gerrymandering in the last couple years. One out of Wisconsin, one out of North Carolina, one in Pennsylvania. These are all sort of swing states. That's what they have in common. And the fact of the matter is, in Ohio, the congressional seats have not changed political hands since 2012. So basically, we know the results of every election before it's even held. The party in power in 2011 drew the lines, which cases the Republicans, and they were able, even though they captured 56% of the vote, they were able to capture 75% of the seats. And that just means that the congressional districts are not reflecting the political will of the people in Ohio. And that's the problem. So this is a picture of one of the most famously gerrymandered districts in Ohio. This is the 9th district up in Cleveland and Toledo. It's called, as affectionately, the snake on the lake. It looks like a snake. And it was done to take, instead of having 2 Democratic congresspeople, we're going to pit them against each other and create 1 seat. And so the people of Cleveland are represented by a Representative Cafter who's from Toledo, which is some 150 miles away. Right? So this is not a model of good representation. This is another example. This is Representative Jordan, Jim Jordan. This is affectionately known as the Duck District. See the duck? His district is 103 miles north to south, 135 miles east to west, covers 14 counties. Again, not an example of good representative democracy. You can see that these districts have been highly manipulated to get the voters that congressperson wants. Safe seats. So this is how the map overall looks currently. 16 districts. You can see all kinds of wiggly, squiggly lines, districts that meander for great distances. The district in Cincinnati divides up the city in 2 ways. So there's 2 congressional districts. It's cutting into parts of Warren County to try to get more Republican members to make it a more Republican-leaning district. You've got what other counties to show you. Summit County is divided into 5 districts. Little old Mercer County, which is way up, which is like middle up here. It's divided, it's a small county, but it's divided 3 ways. So the problem is, you don't know if there's an issue, you don't even really know who your congressperson is. So, you know, people are rightly so upset about the way they're being represented in Congress. We're being so polarized that our congresspeople are not working together, we're not solving issues, and it's not reflective of the political will here in Ohio. So, now we understand the problem, right? We see the problem. We wanted to do something about it. Back in 2015, we had this amazing moment, kumbaya, where the legislature came together. The Republicans and the Democrats came up with a bipartisan deal to pass state legislative redistricting reform. That means the way that we draw state legislative districts, our Ohio House and our Ohio Senate. And they put that on the ballot. We were really excited when this happened. We did not expect it, but for after years and years and years, we were able to get this done. And we were so excited on Election Day of 2015 to say, we did it. 72% of Ohio voters in all 88 counties approved redistricting reform. They wanted a bipartisan map-making process. They wanted fair and accountable elections. And we passed it. So we said, well, this is great. Now we're going to do the same thing for Congress. And Speaker Rosenberger said, not so fast. You don't need to be in a rush. Let's wait. How about 2031? Well, so I don't know about you, but I am not in the mood to wait for our Congress to be fixed until 2031. So there were several leaders in our Ohio State House who were not excited to move on this, and that was beyond disappointing. But we were not going to just sit there on our laurels and just wait and hope that they'll do something. We also heard there was also this other strategy going on with the Ohio Constitutional Modernization Commission. Now that was made up mostly of elected officials, people who sit in the State House, people who are in the legislature who voted for this very proposal. It was passed overwhelmingly. They were tasked with looking at how do we fix congressional redistricting reform? And they studied and studied and studied. They studied so hard. They studied for 3 years. We came in and testified countless times. We had lots of evidence, and 3 years went by, and they made no recommendation. They did nothing. They were basically being pressured by the leaders and people in Congress not to do anything. Congress people do not, to be honest, they were not excited about this, because who wants to work harder to win an election? Yes.
In 2015, was there a citizens initiative similar to what we've done with fair districts during that time that spurred the legislature? What spurred the legislature then to make that bill?
Yeah, that's a great question. Basically, it was just a good time. Speaker Batchelder was leaving, and he had wanted to push congressional district reform. John Husted had always been wanting to push congressional district reform. The time was just sort of, there were people in power who were willing to say, let's move this. And unfortunately, there was not the willingness to do that on the congressional side, because a lot of the people in our state house are getting money from Congress people. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. There's an incentive there to listen to what the members of Congress were saying, and they were saying, don't do this. And they were hoping, I think, that the public would forget about it, or that there just wouldn't be that much pressure, that there were other issues that people would be distracted by, and that by giving us state legislative reform, they could just sort of move on to other things.